on how much energy level we want to use and how much volume he does. He doesn't run a ton of volume. You know, he doesn't run the triple digits the way a lot of guys do.
How much does he do?
Nico, can you, sorry.
He runs about 90 miles a week. And I hate to say that because it's different. You know, you do that. Your mileage is different than his mileage is different than Grant's mileage, and you do that based on what the body can absorb. And, you know, Nico might absorb more mileage, or he might absorb less, I don't know. But the bottom line is that is set up for the how much can he take and riding that line between not enough and too much. And it's a close line. So.
And I wanted to ask you about the race in LA because that was basically a preview of the Olympic 10K final. A lot of those guys are going to be in Paris, which is what Grant just qualified for. How did you feel it went for Grant, and what were your takeaways from that race?
So I wasn't happy because, you know, we planned for certain things to happen and they didn't happen. And so from that, then you look at the deficits and you say, we need to train this differently, and we need to train this strategically differently. Position-wise, he wasn't good at the end of that race, and so I wanted to work on the rail. And so we worked on that a little bit, the positioning, and so that changed in the 1500 in New York. If you go back and look at that race and go, strategically, how did that go? Well, strategically, that was a different event than the race in LA. And so we want that. We want development. And so for me, even though they ran slowly in New York, it was a much better race strategically for Grant. But it was too slow. It was just too slow.
But you don't think the positioning, or sorry, I got
yes. Oh, you got to go. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
No, it's no problem. Yes, no
Can I
problem.
grab you though? Just curious, like,
Hey, I'm inside the media tent and I'll walk out in 2 minutes.
just curious. So after a race like this, right? Obviously, the 5K will be coming up at the end of the week. How do we now take the next step to get to the Olympic Games and actually get on the podium at that point?
So, honestly, the podium is really only about a 2 to 3 minute race. That's it. It's just the last 3 laps of the race. And so you've got to get there. That's stage 1. Get to the race. And when the boys start racing in Paris, then you've got to be prepared to run that race. And honestly, it's a 1200. It's not a 10,000. It's a 1200. And it might be a 1,000, but that's how it's going to go. So
do you keep tabs on, you know, we have, of course, the Ethiopians who really step things up in terms of times. Like, do you keep tabs on them and maybe adjust things or kind of incorporate?
Well, of course we watch the way those guys race, of course, because that's who you're racing against. And we try to expose ourselves to that kind of racing and that style of racing before the games so that you're ready for it and you get to see that. And so that's what happened in LA. That's why he asked me about the LA race. Of course, we went to LA for that purpose and it worked. We got to see exactly how those guys would race a 5K. And, you know, it went fine, but it didn't go great. But we're going to change that.
There you go. Thanks so much, man.
Good.
Appreciate it.